Oh, so how are you doing, Vivian? Is it
I
pronounced Vivian?
am, yes, Vivian, I am melting. I'm trying to keep my head cool with this warm weather and also with the cast, but I am taking each day as a blessing and I'm seeing every day as a blessing, right? Even though I just had this accident, I'm grateful that nothing else happened.
Well, I have to tell you, I have had my share of accidents in the last couple of
Mhm,
years, probably because I've been living in Mexico and not
mhm,
used to the ground.
mhm.
So it's like I don't even wear high heels anymore. It's like it's too
It's safer
dangerous.
that way.
It's like once you hit your 50s, man, I'm not being ageist here, but you just got to get to the point where you got to be safer.
Yeah. And are you in Mexico a lot, or is it time sharing that you're doing there?
Oh yeah, I have a house in Mexico and a house here in
Mhm.
Littleton, Colorado.
Wow.
So this is like my little spare bedroom slash office.
Hmm.
I got to make it look more like an office or something, but at least it's private.
It's better than sitting in the kitchen, right?
Well, yeah, because I have dogs, I have a partner that
Mhm.
don't always respect the background. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I think the best person is here, Howard. He is the best background. Hi, Howard. Introduce yourself.
Hi there, everyone.
Hi, Howard.
And he's got the comp team sign. And this is Sam. He's in his car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't
I hope
couldn't
you're
have
standing still, right? You're not driving, right? I hope so.
no, I'm
Yeah.
just in my car.
Yeah.
The Wi-Fi failed in the place I was at, so I had to
Hmm.
come out here and connect over the phone.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Wendy, did you get the deck I shared with you?
She did. She is
Yeah,
She
I
just
found
went
struggling with
it,
through
a
it.
wire issue. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I'm actually plugging in now to try to do hard wire here so I can make sure I have a good connection for you guys.
Thank you.
So let's
Sorry
get
about that.
so yeah, I've got the deck ready to go, and Vivian and I we just made a few corrections to make sure her name was spelled correctly, and then everything else looked good. And now I'm going to attempt to go to change my Wi-Fi settings here. So just hang tight in case it
Sure.
doesn't do it.
Vivian, we're kind of globalites. I mean, Howard you're not quite in New York, right? Howard, you're
Right
in
now, I'm in New Jersey,
New
but
Jersey,
I'm only about 35 minutes away from the city.
Yeah.
right? And Sam, as we mentioned earlier, you're in France.
Yes, I am. I'm and near Marseille right now in France.
Awesome.
And Wendy is near Durango, I assume.
Yes, in Durango today.
And I'm in Colorado. And Vivian, I'm sorry, I forgot. What did you just say? Where are you
Amsterdam.
located?
Amsterdam, Netherlands.
Amsterdam. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Netherlands?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yep. So we're in the same time zone.
Yeah. Yes, you got the windmill and the flowers.
Yeah, Netherlands right there.
Yeah.
We all did the walking challenge, and thank you,
Ah,
Sam and
that's
team.
yeah.
And it's the cutest little thing because it's got this cute little windmill where it says Netherlands
Yeah.
right at the bottom.
Awesome.
I don't know. I don't have my I don't know that I can go with the hardwire today just because I actually don't think I have it set up yet. I just moved Vivian. So
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
so I've got all my, you guys, I have all my Ethernet cords plugged in and stuff, but I just can't figure out how to so anyways, so I think maybe Sam, would you rather take over? Do you feel like it's good where you're at right now, or do you want me to try without the Ethernet?
No, I think you're just fine without the Ethernet. If we could just, you know, if you could share the slides, I think that's the most important thing.
Okay. How is it now, Vivian? Because I was freezing before. That's why we went to this plan.
Mhm.
Everything is fine.
Okay,
So
well,
far, so good.
I'm sitting right next to it. I was close before, but I'll just stay right next to the Wi-Fi, and I'm gonna blur my background here, and let me get a chair.
Yeah.
I'm on my knees right now. Okay.
Yeah, we love our technologies. We're the nomads of technologies, so we're always like exploring. And now that AI is coming up,
Yeah.
or has been here, I'm like going, oh
Have
no.
you been using it though?
Well, Sam and Howard will explain. They've had more experience than me, but
Mhm.
definitely I'll be using it more. Sam, what do you think about AI?
Yeah, I think there's definitely good applications. We just did a seminar on the proper uses, where to use it,
Yeah.
where not to use it.
Yeah.
And so that's
Yeah.
quite important, especially for HR professionals. I
Yeah.
mean, there's places where we can use it to, I mean, of course, AI is coming whether we'd like it or not. I mean, it's just on a, we
And
have
why
to
not
figure out how to,
use it to your advantage, right? And as long
Yeah.
as we keep questioning and asking questions to question what comes out,
Right.
then
Yes.
we should be fine. We should be fine.
That's right. That's right. Perfect.
It's like
Yep.
it's the next generation in terms of doing a web search. It gets
True.
smarter, but the same thing. You really need to look at what it's producing and saying, does this make sense?
True.
Is it right?
I do fear for my child who's 9, by the way, and by the time that he needs to write an essay, I grew up with an encyclopedia. I went to the library to do research.
True.
And now here we have these youngsters who just look at Google as, the all-knowing. And
That's
I try to challenge him and say, okay, I understand that when you are looking for elephants and stuff, Google is okay. But when you need to share more facts, try to go to the library, try to look at Wikipedia or encyclopedias and find out if all the facts are matching, and then assume that it's okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We are at the
Well,
top of the hour. Are you guys
Okay.
ready to do this?
Ready.
That's ready. So
Let's
I'm gonna
rock and roll.
open the chat. So that's the one thing that sometimes I have to open the chat once we go live, right?
yeah, go ahead and you can open the chat now. It's fine.
I can
And then
share chat. Here, hang on.
yeah, the 3 little dots next to the chat, and then just
I
open
know
it to all participants.
I don't have that. I had it once before, but I had
Let me
trouble with
see.
this before. Yeah. You open the chat and there's 3 little dots, and I don't have anything there. So let me go live and then I'll mess around with that.
Okay.
Yeah. So now we're going to go.
And then do you know how to start the multicast there, Wendy?
Yeah, but I don't see I don't have that option. Maybe you're the host again.
Yeah, let's see here.
We've got some folks joined us, which is great.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Well, I have to tell you, Vivian, when I was in Puerto Vallarta, it wasn't really Puerto Vallarta. It was a town about 25 minutes north of that.
Mhm.
I could use your hairstyle. Because it was starting to turn 90 degrees, man. I was like, humidity. And it's like, I was like, my hair was falling apart.
Well, it's very easy, very easy.
All right, we're preparing to go live here, everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm back
Let's
being
do
the
it.
host. And I'm gonna open up the chat here. All right, everybody can chat with everybody. Here we go. Let's see. We are live. Good morning, everybody. And thank you so much for joining us live on the People Strategy Forum this morning. I'm so excited for our topic today because this is something I've never even heard about or thought about before. So I'm really fascinated, especially doing a little bit of research preparing for our talk today. So, so we're going to get started here. And I hope everybody's having a great Wednesday so far. And oops, here we go. We've got people all around the world today. So it's pretty exciting when that happens. Can everybody see this introduction slide okay?
Yep.
Great. I'm so honored to introduce our topic today, which is VR in DEI training on today's People Strategy Forum with Vivian Acquah. And before we get to meet her and find out how she got into this and you know how this came to be, I want to welcome everyone to the People Strategy Forum. We meet here live every week. And our mission, we've been doing this for over 3 years now, since before the global pandemic started. The mission behind the People Strategy Forum is to engage, energize, and elevate employees and companies and really make that workforce experience something that people wake up to every day and feel excited about. So that's our mission, and we talk about all different topics related to that. And so today we're going to be talking about DEI and using virtual reality. So just to let you know, our People Strategy Forum is sponsored by TMA USA. And this is an amazing tool, Vivian. It's actually was developed in the Netherlands, where you're calling in from today. And now it's available in the US. Our comp team group and TMA USA is able to offer this to companies in the US, but it's a global tool. It's available in like over a dozen languages. It's absolutely amazing. It's a great tool for developing talent and building on strengths. You know, we look at talents and competencies, and there is a whole amazing portal with tabs, and you can get all this information on what makes your employees love what they do, be good at what they do, and help you with what you need. So that's what this tool is all about. And if anyone out there listening would like to learn more, you can just email support@compteam.net and ask for a free demo of TMA USA. You can even have a free self-assessment, and we can have a one-on-one and show you how that works and how the tool works. And we'd be really excited to show you that. So that's our sponsor, TMA USA, for the People Strategy Forum. And then briefly, I just want to introduce our weekly co-host, Sam Reeve, calling in from the border of Italy and France today, I believe. And he is a founder of Comp Team, and he really is passionate about providing custom solutions to small and medium-sized, fast-growing companies who want to make the workforce experience great for their employees. And he wants to give them exactly what they need, not some cookie cutter approach, and not more than what they need, but just exactly what they need. And so he's our fearless leader. Also, Howard Niswitz is joining us from New Jersey this morning, and he is a reward system strategist and a huge part of what makes our team a great team and providing great custom solutions. Char Miller joining us from Littleton, Colorado, Rockies in the house, and she's a people strategist with a background in a variety of industries, but especially healthcare. She's been a senior HR leader, and she's also an entrepreneur, and her motto is HR with a heart. I'm Wendy Graham-Settle. I'm tech hosting today, and I'm really glad to be here. I'm also a people strategist. I'm really passionate about enabling people to choose change and be successful and feel successful, embracing change and moving, you know, embracing their success and owning their success. So I want to like to empower people. And now to our expert contributor, Vivian Acquah. She's a DEI guru, and she trains using a blended approach. Now, a blended approach to me would be sometimes in the classroom, sometimes online, sometimes in person, sometimes, over a Zoom, sometimes e-learning, all these, sometimes on the job training, shadowing, things like that. But Vivian has a twist on what blended learning can mean. And we're going to be learning about how to use virtual reality in the classroom, which is, I'm so excited to learn about. So welcome, Vivian, to the People Strategy Forum.
Thank you, Wendy, for having me. And wow, what an amazing introduction. So thank you. I'm looking forward to this conversation, and ask me away. What is it that you want to know?
Well, first off, we want to know, how did you get into this, using virtual reality to find it in DEI training?
Yeah. So I work together with a business partner who is all about positive psychology. And the work that I've been doing with DEI, to challenge people, or to move people, to empower people, to activate people, most of the time we need a few steps ahead before people get to that stage. And the fact that my business partner let me experience this virtual reality session, and I was blown away. I was just like, okay, but this is the first time now that I'm not only talking about DEI and talking about the isms that people are facing, the exclusion that people might face, but also giving it a code. And I'm borrowing my code so that other people can fit it and understand that my code is a little bit longer, or it has holes, or there are other challenges, the barriers that people are facing. And even though the majority, or maybe some people, haven't lived through or haven't experienced all the isms, I can still give them just a teeny weeny peek to what other people with challenges are feeling, so that they understand and do better. They understand that we need to activate inclusion, because or else our turnover is going to get high, or else we are not getting our people in, or else we are ending up on TikTok or YouTube or whatever platform where people are sharing, right? People are now very vocal. And when your company really cares about becoming inclusive, especially now that more and more interviewees, new talents, students are asking, they are demanding for it. What are the steps that your company is taking? And also for people to understand how it means to walk a mile in somebody else's shoes, VR is so far the best option, initiative that helps others in getting buy-in, activating them, and really moving the needle.
That's awesome. And that's what we're going to really want to hear from you today, because for those of us that haven't experienced that, I would love for you to kind of paint a picture. If you could tell us even a little more, why is it the tool that is actually going to move the needle? And this is honestly gives me so much hope, because I feel like this is a hard thing for organizations. They want to do the right thing. They want to empower their people. They want to train them effectively. They're not trying to just check a box and say, we've done our DEI. They're not. But also people are just, how do we actually, get this across? So tell us more about
that's like 10 questions in one, but I'll do my best. So where do I start? Your brain, when you are wearing a VR headset, your brain thinks like this is happening to you, because whether you are the participant or whether you're becoming the person who's walking in the other shoe, your brain thinks that there's something happening to you, or you're witnessing something really bad. And since you are confronted in a way that it could be maybe your child, or it could be a loved one, or you could connect it with somebody that you know close. And that's why VR has a way to tap into that intrinsic motivation for you to be able to activate and do better, right? The other thing is also, the way that I explain VR is being catapulted through the moon. Some people have, like that experience, or are really wondering about how it feels like to walk on the moon. And this is possible within virtual reality. But then also some people are having this mind-blown experience, like it happens only within 5 minutes, but it feels like a whole year or a whole month, because all those little things, the little microaggressions that are subtle, are being amplified, are being felt, and we have different scenarios. We have sexism, we have racism, we have neurodiversity. That's how one of the topics, neurodiversity, is where I discovered I recognize myself too much in the person who is neurodiverse, that I realize that I am neurodiverse. I don't need a label, or I don't need to find out what I have, but realizing that all my life I knew I was weird, and I'm a geek and I'm a nerd, but realizing that I have so many talents, so many superpowers, but most of the time I could only utilize 1 or 2 superpowers. And I'm just like, why are you not, why are you not using my talents? Why are you not using that? I love to create, I love to innovate, and I love to use my tools. And why not use the different capacities of myself to make the work more efficient, fun, and so much more? But we don't know what we don't know. We can assume, and we can watch videos, and we can read so many books, but we don't know what we don't know. And with the VR, we can put a definition and experience into the thing that we don't know, but the fact that we have all had an encounter with exclusion, we can connect it with that.
And so
That makes
Vivian,
sense. Go ahead.
and so Vivian, I would just love to dive in a little bit deeper to what Wendy was saying. As far as, is there a scenario you can take us through as far as how the virtual reality really takes a hold?
I can take you through just a brief scenario, because what I want to prevent is for me to share everything and then place it on, like, you already know the scenario, because it happened to my partner. When, after the experience my business partner went through, I went home to my husband and told him everything. I told him, like, this happened to me, this is what I experienced, and this is what I did. And it got to a point where I wanted him to wear the glasses, and then he realized that he knew everything. He knew what happened, because I'm a very vivid storyteller. So I told him everything. But what I can do, can share, and also can say about the experience that people have. So the topic neurodiversity, it's about really walking a mile in other people, the person's shoes, but also seeing good behavior gone wrong, right? A lot of people, I assume, have good intention, but they don't realize that those good intentions are really cringy and hurting and causing microaggression, right? For instance, talking to me, saying that I speak well Dutch, for instance. I'm born and raised here in the Netherlands, so that's a little bit weird to say that, but also other things like just touching my hair, or other things like maybe somebody is tapping you on the shoulder. And also the other thing that we have is a power dynamics. And this is the case in sexism, where a guy has a certain position, is standing over a woman in a certain position, and it exudes a power dynamic. And what I hear from men who are going through this experience is they wanted to do something, but they froze. They could not do anything, or they were angry and they wanted to lash out, but something blocked them. This is happening to a lot of people, because a lot of people are saying, but why didn't you do this? Why didn't you say something? Why didn't you speak up? Or why didn't you do that? But when you experience what somebody else is experiencing, and you are activating your fight, flight, or freeze, or fawn mechanism, then you know why other people have a challenging time to talk about it. Because when you say something,
Flight, right? Wait, flight,
fight, flight, freeze, fawn.
What was the fawn?
Yeah,
okay.
Fawn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, there was I didn't know there were 4.
I recently discovered this as well. The fawn part is where I think fawning is idolizing, or you are in an aha moment, right? Something like that. Yeah.
That's really powerful what you just said, because it just actually reminded me of a personal experience where I did freeze. And so for someone else to understand what it was like for me in that situation, that really, like, kind of triggered me, actually, when you shared that. So I can see now why that would be so powerful for someone to feel what it's like to be in someone else's shoes.
I can share an example, and I'll share two examples. So I have one amazing, unique example from somebody who's working at a huge consultancy firm, is a partner, but is not attending certain big meetings. Why? Because he's neurodiverse, and attending social events, big social event, it causes something within him, and it's challenging to explain that to somebody else. So a lot of the times he's getting questions like, why are you not attending this session? So why are you not here? He has reached a point in state, a status that he doesn't need to be everywhere, but now he also has a way, an opportunity to explain himself. So the first time he went through that, he was really emotional. In a positive way, I can finally share how I feel, what it does to me. Some people are thriving when it comes to busy spaces, but for me, Friday night events or Friday afternoon events where everybody's cramming up, I have different priorities, and knowing that I'm neurodiverse, I do well sometimes on social events when I can plan it, but I don't do well with impromptu social events, and I need to prepare myself mentally before engaging in that session.
Well, I'll just say I am an extrovert.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do understand that feeling. It's kind of a different kind of perspective.
Yeah.
I too have been involved, like what Wendy was talking about, in the executive boardroom. I have kind of an opposite appearance.
Yeah.
Blonde hair, blue eyed, dingy blonde, dumb blonde. I mean, that's the
We also
judgment I
have
get.
those scenarios in there as well, to really let somebody else experience that, even though it might seem funny, it
Yeah.
can bring somebody down and down and down, and people walk away with, I want to be more careful, and also walk away with the fact that instead of saying, no, Jan or Sam or Howard, no, Howard is a good guy. He wouldn't do that, or he wouldn't say that, or maybe you, Shar, you're a good person, he wouldn't say that. Why not start believing and say, how can I help you? Instead of diminishing maybe something traumatic that happened, because this happens too often when somebody's already in a vulnerable state, trying to open up and share something really vulnerable, and then we diminish it because we have an affinity bias happening, right? We are connected with the other person and we like them. Not that I want to discredit any one of you, Sam, Howard, I don't know you that well to discredit you, but just giving you as an example, it happens too often.
So when we think about you were just mentioning affinity bias and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people, I mean, for instance, if, myself being a white male, I mean, I have certain privileges. I'm not aware of a lot of things. And a lot of times I'm not aware of how me just being in a room impacts the situation.
Yeah.
So what are type of things that can give people like me clarity, awareness of how that situation shapes the environment
And
as a
then
leader and so forth?
Are you connecting it with the virtual reality or in general?
Just in general, overall.
Okay. In general, I do believe that a lot of people wear different masks for different reasons, right? And even leaders, when they are higher up in the ranking, they find it challenging to connect on a human level or show up with their vulnerability, because it might be also misused or misseen. And what we do with the help with virtual reality or without the virtual reality is create that human connection. I have seen that teams are being formed without working on the foundation. And when that doesn't happen, then the foundation is just like a card house. You only have to remove one card and it falls. So for me to be able to answer your question, start with instead of saying, how are you? Start with, what did you do this weekend? What are your favorite things? Or start with something that's very easy. What are your favorite foods that you like? And establish that connection, human connection, where you get to know the person beyond their employee number or beyond their task.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So as a leader, when we're trying to be more cohesive as a team, understand our differences and embrace our differences, and embrace diversity. Should that start as a team, or should that start individually? As you mentioned, should we get to know each other oh yeah, both? Okay.
Both. In this whole D&I journey, but also the journey that I have is, you have to create different recipes, right? For me, it's very important to have my individual recipe, as in, these are the aspects or the tools that I find valuable when a company is saying that they are inclusive or they're trying to be inclusive. So I come with my own recipe. And then on top of that, since we are a team, we also need to create a team recipe. So the company has their main ingredients saying that we value this, we value that, we value this, but the dosage is different for every team. So I do believe in connecting the one-on-one connection on the individual level, but I also believe in, we need to create a team recipe to create that inclusive team, to prevent the isms from happening, and to have that main understanding so that we have the same temperature, an inclusive temperature.
I see.
Yeah.
And so when taking the virtual reality swing on this, I mean, how do you typically engage? I mean, when you are going into an organization and you're talking to a leader, you're pointing out the main concerns that they have, whether it be teaming, and how do we use inclusion in the teaming element. You understand what the issue is, and then do you customize the virtual reality experience based upon those situations?
Yeah, but for the majority, because I see a lot of clients and I see a lot of similar challenges, I know where to look and I know what to show up for. I do want to say that I don't go into the tough subjects directly, right? Because it takes a while for people to really understand the work that I'm doing with VR. And then on the other hand, we have seen in the past, when we start with the tough subjects without having a pre-session ahead with VR, is that people don't connect with the VR experience, and that they shut themselves away from that experience. And to be able to prevent that, we start with something that the majority is receptive of. And then from there on, we go, we dive a little bit deeper, like the diversity iceberg, right? We dive a little bit deeper to have a conversation about the challenging topics.
I see. Yeah. And then in these sessions, are there, I mean, I can imagine that, I mean, this is just, well, of course, it's not something that I've had access to in virtual reality, and especially in this type. I think I've done virtual reality in a game setting once. And it was
a lot of people have.
Yeah. It was very, balance was an issue. I was worried about. I think actually.
Were you walking on a ledge? Were you walking on a ledge? Was that it?
Yeah, I was walking on a ledge, but then I actually bumped into my wife and I actually hurt her. So I was like, I got in trouble for it. But in the professional setting, what are the aha moments? I mean, what do you typically see people experience? I mean, are they getting caught up in the technology, or do they?
It's both. There are different scenarios. We do these settings with a max of 12 to 15 people. And since we are with 12 to 15 people, we have 12 to 15 different experiences. And some people really are geeking out on the technology. And we can also notice that when they have their headset on, they are really exploring. And some people, we see in their body language, we see that they are really going through it. And so it's also important that the reason why we do these sessions in a small group, we are opening people up for soft trauma. We have to make sure that they also de-trigger after the session, right? So there is a debriefing, and I need to know ahead of time, how are you behaving in a normal state, right? So I'll be talking to all the people, doing a presentation so that we capture their pre-status and so that we know this is their normal status. And when they are going through that experience, I know what to look for so that we de-trigger themselves. And also the debrief, the magic is in the debriefing part. The magic is they are hearing 12 to 15 different insights. In a movie, maybe 101 things are happening, but not everybody is capturing that. But during the session with 12 to 15 people, these 101 things are being shown, are being talked about, are being shared, and it's also creating, it's also amplifying the empathy level because they didn't know. What I hear back from leaders, from different people, self-leaders, is I have a way to connect with my child. That one was really magical when we had a person who was neurodiverse and he was quiet. He went on in a reflective mode while driving to home, and he got angry at himself. And the anger came from the fact that he before did not understand his child. His child is neurodiverse. His child is on the spectrum of autism. And the gift that he gave us was sharing that we gave him a gift, the gift of communication, the gift of connection, and the relationship with the child is so much better. The other person, another leader, so I told you about the partner who was able to share his experiences and why he's not engaging and why we have to be mindful and create safe spaces or create a silence room so that people who are neurodiverse can still escape and join certain social settings. Another setting is being able to understand a previous discrimination experience that a person had, so that they talked about the situation that they didn't handle it well, and it already happened and there was a lawsuit, but still they now went back to the drawing board, said that we really have to put things in place to prevent such a thing from happening again.
Yeah. Well, one thing that you mentioned specifically about the triggers, and I know when you know, these things can be very serious when they happen. I mean, of course, I'm not a psychologist or anything like that, but
Yeah.
of course, when you're in a session and somebody gets triggered, I mean,
Yeah.
it can be completely unexpected for them and for everybody else on the team. Have you been in situations where these sessions kind of go wrong? And
I wouldn't say go wrong, but I've seen situations where people need extra support, and we are there with extra guidance. I have a partner who deals with positive psychology, and we always ask our clients, like, do they have internal coaches or to connect with people, with therapists, right? Because it can open up Pandora's box. I don't know what people have experienced, but then again, the beauty of it, what people or somebody else has shared, is that they had a fear of open spaces, right? Or I don't know, there is a special word for it, I don't know what it's called, and nobody knew. The fact that they were able to talk about it, even though it happened 10 years ago, that feeling from going through that VR experience, it gave this person a way to share and talk about. In the past, I was afraid to go outside because I was afraid of people. I was afraid of open spaces, and it suffocated me.
So, all right, it's time for me to interject here. So out of respect for my family member, I'll just say I have a family member who has epilepsy. Obviously graduated early during the pandemic, which I'm very proud of her. So you probably have a guess of who this is. What's fascinating to me is the number of jobs that she's gone to, and the amount of discrimination and intolerance for her neurodiversity. As a matter of fact, she got a job as a disability assistant, and what's interesting is they had a a more mature in her 80s lady that was demoted, no longer a supervisor, but still acted like everyone's supervisor. And when you talk about triggering, my family member started to get, not only did she have epilepsy, but she started having facial spasms. And what was crazy to me is I was like, I thought this, and she was on a promotional track to become a disability coordinator. But the work environment and the toxicity of the work environment caused more triggers for her health. And I'm her personal career coach, as you can imagine. And so she decided to go back to work at a brewery and be a manager, so that she could maybe, do what she got her bachelor's in. But what was so disconcerting is she actually went to 3 different employers prior to that, mainly in the restaurant industry. And the stories that she told me were shocking. And it's like, I know AI is coming and I know all this high technology, but it just blows my mind, particularly for our youth. As you mentioned, you were worried about your 9-year-old, right? It's shocking to me how behind we are as a workforce, because I could tell you horror stories and I'm not going to take up this whole call. But the stories that she tells me, it just is mind blowing.
And that's why it's important for us to use VR for good and really prevent these harmful things from happening, because we have the Harvey Weinstein, right? We have people who are in public places. I don't want to cause a stir, but we have people who other people see as role models, but they're causing a stir. And why? Because we don't want them. We honor them, but we still embrace the toxicity, right? We have this Italian prime minister at the moment right now who recently passed away, but was doing really bad stuff. And now people are talking about all those bad stuff. Why weren't you talking about it while he was president? Why was nothing addressed? And sometimes it takes a person to walk a mile in somebody else's shoes to really understand, no, I don't want this to happen to my daughter. I don't want this to happen to my partner. I don't want this to happen to my loved one. I don't want this to happen to nobody here.
So the challenge, and I've been in this space too, is that to hire an attorney and to sue, this person you can name off 9 illegal activities in one day. Everything from religious discrimination to sexual harassment and everything in between, plus her disability, everything. And, I've been in that situation where I don't have, $50,000 to $100,000 to sue these employers. Nor do I want a negativity around my reputation to do as such. I do believe these forums and having the voice and spreading the word like you're doing is absolutely phenomenal.
But also what you are doing, because you are pouring into her so that she can learn what a safe space should look like.
Right. You suggest things like, Glassdoor. I don't know if you have that in Netherlands.
Yeah, we do.
But simple things like researching on not Netflix, LinkedIn.
Well, LinkedIn has some. Netflix does have valuable things, right? They have this documentary for Obama.
Right. You're right, my friend, because they are approaching now showing diversity. They're showing LGBTQ.
Exactly.
They're showing, and so you're right. Thank you. Thank you. And LinkedIn, but I really believe we as a team, and I think it's a growing mass, really need to unite in all of our diversities and all of our countries and be a voice. And I feel it takes a united voice. And it's because the individuals, like a 23-year-old student that person cannot go to an attorney and hire an attorney to go after these employers to do that.
I understand the attorney part, but I don't know if you have seen a trend. I've seen people exposing what is happening. I've seen people talk about things on TikTok. They have been talking about it on the IG Live. They have been talking about it on so many other platforms, because now they are using their own platforms. Instead of waiting upon the media to do something about it, they are warning other people. And if this is the case for your company, and if you want your company to be, trending on TikTok, trending on YouTube, I've seen so many people doing that and warning other people. And this is what the newer generation is doing right now.
And you think that takes bravery, because
Yeah,
at least in my generation, which was decades older,
younger.
but I always felt like if I were to speak up and speak out, like publicly, that it would affect my career. So what you're saying is let's just make a prediction here, or an assumption. Are you feeling the younger generation is being more vocal when they see wrong things happening at work, or in the work environment, or discrimination, or unfairness? You feel that people are being more open?
They are being more open, or they're voting with their foot.
Oh yeah.
That's the other option, right?
They don't have any resignation, right?
Yeah, they are going. They are gone. That's it. Why do they have to stay loyal for a company that doesn't value them back? And also, don't forget, we live in an age where I don't need a boss to get money. I can create my own business. I can do a lot more. And there are so many other people that have these side hustles, right? I don't want to discredit employers or organizations, but this is the thinking that got me out of the whole corporate space. And that's how I began my career.
Yeah.
No kidding. I mean, we have yeah, we have choices more than ever. I mean, you were just talking about those side hustles. I was talking to my son the other day, and it's like, I'm gonna drive for DoorDash, or do a little bit of Upwork, different things.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many different choices that allow people to vote with their feet more commonly. So
exactly.
it's yeah. So we need to make sure that we're on top of that for sure as leaders. One thing that I would love to, I mean, we're all about here when we're talking about the People Strategy Forum and so forth, we're talking about ways to enhance the employee experience, what leaders can do to enhance the employee experience. And this experience that you're talking about, the virtual reality among our teams, it can be very eye-opening.
Yeah.
But it's not something that's comfortable, right? This is something that can be a little traumatic for people, because they didn't experience it ahead of time, and now they're putting that in somebody else's shoes, seeing what that discrimination feels like.
I would rephrase it. Maybe some people find it very harsh, but then again, also they are confronting themselves, right? I'm not the person who's doing that. They are doing it to themselves. I came to the realization, knowing that I found out that I was neurodiverse, but also found out that I wasn't interacting with people who I assume, well, they are not as social like I am. But did I try? Did I invite them to the party? Because I labeled them ahead of time saying, oh, they are neurodiverse. Let me stay out of the way. Don't go and engage. But what if I tried? At least I've tried. And that is how this experience opened my eyes in my biases, in my challenges that I'm facing, and that I am a DEI practitioner. I'm not excluded from biases. I am human. And it showed me a different perspective of what part I need to work on.
Right. And I think that's the point, especially for me, like I mentioned, as a full circle, as a white male, and not having to face a lot of these issues myself. This brings it upon me and brings that awareness to me. And I think that, and to which you mentioned, having that debrief session at the end of this experience is something that we can reframe this in the positive light. That, how do you see teams? How do you see this impact teams weeks after the event?
Better communication, having better policies in place, policies that they thought they didn't need, but they needed. And also the fear, let's say that we change the power dynamics. People fear when people are in power. So when you are going from top down, going from bottom to top, they fear it just because of that person has a name and the hierarchy is there. But what if we stripped everybody down to human? What if we connected on a human level and connect with the person, and they discovered that he's not creepy, he's not scary at all. He was dealing with challenges. He was trying to prevent the company from sinking. He was dealing with a situation at home. So leaders are human as well. That's how the discovery and also the healing part from my end. I've been heard by a lot of leaders. And for me, holding this session or doing this training session, it has been a healing journey, and I feel hopeful for those who went through this VR session. I'm very hopeful.
Now, Vivian, I know you're in the Netherlands and so forth, and how do you see this experience be different from different cultures? Does something different happen, or do different cultures embrace this approach differently?
Different countries have different approaches, but what we do have in common is everybody has some type of form of exclusion experience. And that's where we tap into that. But we also have different scenarios, looking into the Asian culture, looking into the Western culture, right? We also have scenarios where we look into the LGBT community, what they are facing. We also have scenarios where what happens in a team meeting, right? When somebody is being ignored or ideas are being stolen or somebody's being labeled as, well, you're a woman, you can write good. It's time to write, be the person that is writing all the summaries, right? I hate that. I used to be that person who was always writing during the meeting. And we need to drop these assumptions. And now there are some men who are dealing with the fact that they want to work part-time. And there are some countries that allow men to work part-time and take their accountability for being a parent. But they are fearful because of the biases that can be labeled. Even today, I had a conversation with my partner it's almost 90 degrees in the Netherlands, and he's here walking in his shorts. And I asked him the question, like, why is it so that you're not going to your workplace with your short shorts? And he says that I'm talking to directors. I'm talking to people in certain positions, decision makers. I don't want them to have a different image of me just because I'm wearing shorts. And I didn't think of that. There is a whole clothing bias there also for women, right? Where the way that women are, what they are wearing, the way they show up, even their hair, right? There is this whole bias that I didn't look into that. And I found it very interesting now that I can have these conversations with my partner, because I was just thinking, like, it's 90 degrees. Why are you not allowed to go to your workplace with your shorts? And he said, I would never do that.
I have some questions, but it looks like maybe Shar and Sam do too. Who wants to go first?
You go ahead.
I just was going to say, living in Mexico, Vivian, yeah, it's crazy. I see employees in their long pants and their long shirts all day long, and not even, and working in little buildings with not even air conditioning.
Yeah.
And why not? What's wrong with a nice pair of nice shorts that look
apparently
professional?
We see them
There's
in a
nothing
different
wrong
light.
with that.
We see them in a different light. We don't take people as serious as we would when they are wearing their corporate attire.
Exactly. Go ahead.
You want to go, Sam? And then I'm going to tell us what's happening next week. Okay. I
go
have
ahead,
a couple
Wendy.
quick questions for you, Vivian, and then I want to
Yes.
take us, I want to help our listeners know how they can get a hold of you. So in a minute, we'll be asking you for some contact information. So my two questions are, one, how do you ensure safety, psychological safety in the VR, like you talking about, kind of like a male physical dominance thing kind of triggered something for me that made me feel a little unsafe. And I was curious of safety. Could you address that?
We always share with our clients that it's not mandatory to go through that. So if they rather want to be an observer, they can. Of course, we don't want a situation where everybody wants to be an observer, but so we have a split of 50-50 where some people are watching, going through the scenario, and some people observe. And through the observing, that's also very valuable because they see their colleagues or their coworkers in a different light. Now that they understand that maybe that person who was walking grumpy 24/7, or at least for a few weeks, they were afraid to ask this person. And now going through this scenario, they are able to ask this person, instead of assuming that, oh, you're grumpy today. Let me ask this question, like, I noticed something happening, something changing. Can we have a conversation about that? That is a great way to break the ice, instead of saying, well, you are being a BITC. Why is this, why is your mood changing, or you're not so nice anymore? Let me avoid you for now.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then my second question is really tactical. So as a trainer myself, what does it take to build these virtual reality things? Is that something you build?
A lot
Do
of
you have
money.
to have a designer? Like what, if somebody wants to get into this?
No, we have a whole team, and we are two Black women who are doing it and funding this on our own. Creating a movie, we need a script writer, we need actors, and we need a person who's also going to edit all the videos, right? And it also needs special camera lenses, etc. and stuff. And it starts from 15,000 euros. Every scenario is a hefty scenario, and also luckily the technique is advancing, but still we are lucky that we have created some scenarios with our clients that we can use and also use for other situations, because there are clients that really want to capture their culture or the challenges that they are facing in their culture, right? So to prevent from that, it is like creating a Hollywood movie, but then on a smaller budget.
So, but in my mind, this still makes sense, because what you've shared with us is that in 5 minutes, I can have an experience that teaches me more than a full day in the classroom.
Yeah.
And so that the fact that it's so effective and it's very quick, it seems like really good reasons to consider this.
It's really impactful, and PwC have done research about this impact. So I can definitely share a link of the article where I'm stating all those facts. I don't know if you're seeing that, or I've shared it in the chat. And also those are the facts. Also, Hilton is using VR to train their people quicker, better. And what in the beginning I mentioned that sometimes it took me, before VR, it took me like 5 to maybe 8 sessions to really get people in a place where they understand, and now they are moving the needle. Now I'm doing it faster, which means that the hard labor on my end, it's not there anymore. And then from there on, from session 1, we can go into what can we do to change the narrative? What can we do to activate people? What are we going to do differently? I'm getting more buy-in, I'm getting more understanding. And I wouldn't say I'm getting 100%, but at least I'm getting between 90 to 95% of thumbs up. Let's go, let's move the needle, let's change the system.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that link. I want to just have a quick break here. Hopefully y'all can see. very exciting news. Sam and Sumit's book is coming out this month, The Workforce Experience. So I hope everybody, Sam, can they pre-order it? Is it on Amazon and Kindle? So stay tuned. We'll be messaging how to get a hold of this. This is really
Will there
exciting.
also be an audiobook?
Yes,
there is an
will
audiobook. That's correct.
There is an audiobook. Yes. And then I just want to set everybody up for next week. I'm so excited. We're having Tina Robinson. She's going to be talking about great expectations, investing in the potential and performance of your people. And one thing we do, Vivian, is we like to ask our current speaker, if you were going to be a host next week, what question would you have for Tina?
Very easy. What is Tina doing to invest in the potential of other people?
Okay. We will be sure to ask her, for sure. We will ask that question. And then while we wrap up, if anybody who's joined us live today has any questions, comments, or suggestions, please put them in the chat. And we can make sure to ask that of Vivian before we wrap up. But while we're waiting for any of those to come in, Vivian, how do people get a hold of you? And is there anything they should know about how to reach out and what you could offer them?
The easiest part is connect with me via LinkedIn. Send me a message or a PM, or otherwise go to my website, amplifydei.com. I'm very approachable. It may not seem so, but I'm very approachable, down to earth. And for me, it's very important that we move the needle and demystify DEI by not letting people drown in the Great Pacific, but helping them from the kiddie pool, accelerate to pool number 1, pool number 2, pool number 3, and so on, so that they can embrace what they can do. They can become an authentic ally. They can activate themselves to become an inclusive leader.
That's great. Thank you so much, Vivian, for joining us today.
Thank you as well, Sam.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful Wednesday.
Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
Vivian. We appreciate your perspective.
Thank you, Chair.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Likewise. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone. See you next week on the People Strategy Forum. Take care.